What's up, guys? In today's video I do have a little bit more of an interesting video. So it's kind of like, if you guys watched my previous videos, like the two days ago maybe, it was fragrances I was going to bring for my boss, for him to pretty much check out and see what he thought was best. He was looking to buy a signature scent, basically a fragrance that people were like, damn, this smells good. And these are pretty much, so this ended up happening for like the next 3 days, and today being the final day. We're off at the weekend, so or at least our weekend. And these are the fragrances that he chose, as well as fragrances that like other people around that were just around to smell the fragrances and were curious about the fragrances, also smelled. And these are the 5. So each day I brought 5 fragrances. These are the 5 that stood out. People enjoyed the most. So let's get started with, there was more yeses than nos obviously in these fragrances. These are the ones that, like, out of the 5 for the best for these past 3 days. Roja's Manhattan. So I was starting to kind of narrow down what he was really enjoying. And I would say me and him have a really similar scent taste. You'll see what the rest of the fragrances in this video. But obviously Manhattan is a fragrance that smells pretty similar to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, which when I first got into fragrances, I thought that fragrance was absolutely amazing. At this point, I do enjoy Manhattan by Roja, just because it kind of reminds me of Tobacco Vanille. I do own Tobacco Vanille, but this is pretty much like a different version of it, but still smells pretty similar. So when he smelled this fragrance, he said this smells like money, pretty much. He said like a really rich person would wear this fragrance, and that would be Manhattan by Roja. Each day I did bring a few creeds, by the way, and no creeds will be in this video. I guess he's not the biggest fan of the presentation, so just because he sees the bottle, he says he does not like, he just doesn't like the presentation. That's all. So hey, whatever. So then at the number 4 spot, it's going to be Dior Cologne. Just because when I started realizing we have really similar taste, I'm like, all right, this is one of the fragrances I brought in today. And that's actually why I brought Manhattan. I'm going to put this back a little bit. I'm like, he's probably going to enjoy Manhattan, or he's probably going to enjoy, Dior Cologne. Dior Cologne's my favorite Dior. And I did bring Dior Intense the day before. So Dior Cologne, he was like, I need to buy this one. So I think he will be buying a bottle of this one. I just have to find it for him. I'm going to send him a link of discounters and stuff. Obviously with my affiliate links, the same affiliate links I have in the description below that you could use yourself. There's the same thing I'm going to send to him. Obviously I just make a small commission at no cost to you, but Dior Cologne, he was like, I have to buy this. So he will be buying this one soon. It is that good to me, and it's also, he was looking for fragrance that's long lasting. I don't really have any performance issues with this, so for sure Dior Cologne. Obviously he liked it, but there was other people, but these are also fragrances that he just couldn't stop smelling. And I actually have to make a quick swap here, but yeah. Then at the number 3 spot, it's going to be Amouage's Reflection Man. So obviously Reflection Man is a DNA I enjoyed. I enjoyed the clone. Ended up buying the real thing. I really enjoy this DNA. I just haven't really worn it in a while. So I decided to pull out, Reflection Man, because I'm like, Amouage's easiest to wear fragrance that would be signature scent worthy is Signature Man. Reflection Man. And I also brought Jubilation 25. He was not the biggest fan of that one, and I didn't expect him to be. But Reflection, he was really, he really thought it was nice. So Reflection Man by Amouage, signature scent worthy for him. I think it would be a really good signature scent worthy fragrance as well. He said it smells like a luxurious hotel though. He really enjoyed it, but that's the only thing. I think he will be buying a bottle of it as well. Then at the number 2 spot, this is a fragrance that he loved. So he was like, he had a piece of paper today and he just kept on holding it just because he wanted to keep on smelling it. And the only reason it's at the number 2 spot and the number 1 spot, even though he had that reaction, was because of the other people that smelled this fragrance. There was a lot of division with this fragrance. It's going to be Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomad. So as you guys know, I love myself some Ombre Nomad, I've loved the DNA for a long time. So I'm like, if I love it, he probably will. Which it's a pretty big risk. It's a pretty divisive fragrance. I was assuming that I kind of just assumed he was gonna love it. I was like, I have to bring it in. When I tried explaining oud to him and stuff, he kind of was turned off by it. And this was yesterday. But then today I just brought it in, didn't tell him anything until after he smelled it, and told him again what oud was. And he thought it was really interesting. He kept on smelling the paper, and he was like, he could buy it. Like he said he would buy this bottle like 3 years from now, when he feels like he's in the position where he wants to be in life. So this is like the fragrance that he would want for like a token of success, which is funny because that's the same thing I did. I did the same thing with Ombre Nomad. I was at the Cologne, and I just wanted to be at some point in the collection, and I was just like contemplating ending my collecting. So that's when I felt like Ombre Nomad would be probably one of the last fragrances I would purchase. And to a point, when I purchased Ombre Nomad, it did feel that way. I did stop for a while, and I think it was around the time I started making less content. I felt like I had everything I wanted, especially in the collection. But then I just started branching out again, finding new things. But I think ever since Ombre Nomad has come to the collection, it was kind of like a staple of, like, I pretty much just got everything I wanted for that first half of my like fragrance journey of, you know, finding things I liked, trying different scents. Now it's just now I feel like it's just back to not exploring, but I don't really blind buying like crazy anymore. I was blind buying like crazy for a while. I was always hunting for something that smells like Ombre Nomad, but maybe even better. Like I always thought there would be something better out there than this. Never found anything. But that kind of just made me realize, like, things like Viking is going to be the best version of that DNA for me. Ombre Nomad is going to be the best version of this kind of DNA for me, at least. Same thing with like Tuxedo and my favorite fragrances. That's just the best DNA of that version for me. I haven't smelled anything or haven't found anything that smells even better. So why am I, you know, constantly trying to look for something that's better when I already have the best thing, in my opinion? And then for the number one spot, this is the one that blew everybody away. And it's been a fragrance that every time I've worn it at work, it's been a compliment machine. But them actually smelling it sprayed on a piece of paper, like just sprayed around in front of them instead of just on my skin or out and about, they're actually like looking forward, you know, they know they're going to be smelling a fragrance. YSL's Tuxedo, which honestly did not surprise me. Easy to love fragrance. This was a fragrance that someone walked in a room afterwards. So like, we were in my office and we were spraying it in my office. There was someone else in my office. The other person obviously smelled it. She was in the room with us. So then someone else walked by that smelled it, and they were like, what is that? I need to smell that. And it was like a small group of people that just were passing around a piece of paper asking what this fragrance was. And that was Tuxedo. So definitely a really interesting project. It kind of just turned into a fun thing to do. I like sharing, obviously I like sharing my knowledge about fragrances, and I like showing new fragrances, but being able to have someone, you know, just smell it right in front of me and seeing the reaction and seeing what they like, what they don't like. And obviously I told them, you're not gonna like things, you will like things. I didn't feel any kind of way about it. Like, my collection's big. I don't care about, you know, and I told them, you know, I don't care about what you think about the fragrance. It's not going to change my opinions. It's not going to make me feel bad. I just want to see your reaction, your, you know, pretty much honest reaction. So yeah, these are the 5 fragrances pretty much that stood out for him. I just stood out for, it ended up being like a daily group thing after our shift. So these are the 5, at least for this week. I don't think I'll be bringing any more scents next week. It's pretty hectic for the next 2 weeks. So that's all I have for you guys. These are the 5 fragrances. Let me know if there's anything else I should have brought. I should have probably mentioned the fragrances that didn't get too much love, but off the top of my mind, it was like Jubilation 25, Original Vetiver by Creed, Mephisto, I think I already said Jubilation 25. Trying to think. Dior Homme Intense, Dior's Ombre Nuit. I don't know. I don't really remember what else there was. But yeah, that was obviously if you watch that first video, there was a few fragrances there. There was some yesterday and then some today. Today was, well, 3 of the ones I brought today are in this list. So 3 of the ones are Ombre Nomad, Dior Homme Cologne, and Manhattan. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Please do like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Have a good one, guys.